Hey everybody, welcome to Invisible Condition. I am your host, Jeff Pearson. I am so excited. We created this show for you because we wanted everyone to know with an invisible condition, especially everybody with an invisible condition, to know that they have a voice, they have a community, and they are not alone. And so that's the design of this whole thing. We want to bring awareness and resources. So speaking of not alone, I have a friend with me today, Frankie. Hello, Frankie.
Hi.
All right. We are so excited that we are here today with you. Tell us about yourself and your family, tell us your story. A little bit.
Sorry. I'm Frankie, but a lot of people know me as Frankie here in Colorado because I'm originally from New Mexico, Albuquerque, small little city. I grew up there with my mom. My mom raised my sister and I as a single mom, and she was deaf. So that was a hard, I wouldn't say a hard experience, but it was definitely a different experience than any typical family would have. So it's helping mom out, interpreting for her when other people are unable to show up and whatnot. And my little sister, as well, to help, taking care of her, being the big sister role, I should say. Nice. It was just the three of us growing up for the longest time. And my mom eventually did get remarried later in life, about when my sister and I were teenagers. But I do remember my grandmother, my mom would always tell me that as a baby, I was always sick. The doctors could never figure out why I was always, what was wrong with me. So it was always issues coming up. So it would just come and go. So when it goes, everyone's like, okay, she's fine again. And yeah. So I was I remember any of this, of course. But as I got older, I don't remember being as sick as much, but my mom would always tell me there's just episodes where you just get sick. They still couldn't figure out why. It was frustrating for my mom, especially deaf. And the doctors back then, I would say they did their best. They always try to write it. My mom would understand somewhat of the doctor language, but not fully understand. I don't still understand big words to these days. Yeah. You break it down for me and help me understand what is it that I have or what's causing what. A lot of issues. I remember going to a holistic doctor once. My mom took me, and and he was the one that really told my mom about how to make sure that my diet's on point. He's like, she's taking too much dairy, and of course my mom looked at him like, you must be crazy. So but she wanted to, reach out to see what could help me, because she was tired. Yeah. I was tired of it. My whole childhood, throughout high school, I was always in the hospital, in and out. It was embarrassing to go out, have overnight stays, because, sleepovers. I mean, I don't want the girls to know that I'm spending most of the time in the bathroom puking or, having diarrhea. Yeah. I can't eat the foods that they're eating. At the time I would want to. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to. And I remember a kid wanting to have a slice of pizza, but my stomach hurt so much. I'm like, no, I couldn't help myself. And as a kid, I used to be made fun of how skinny I was. And, that was
Yeah.
nice to be made fun of. And, it was
No.
brutal as a kid.
Yeah.
Not easy.
Well, and kids can be so cruel too. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, even in elementary, it's
Yeah.
they're so mean sometimes, and
It-
they don't even mean to be. They just want to, they're just saying stuff that comes to their little brains, It's not, I don't even think it's malicious most of the time. It's just they can't control themselves, you
no, yeah.
know. Ugh, but that doesn't make it any easier for you. But yeah, no, I get it. So I have to ask something. You kind of glossed over something when you were talking about your family, and I'm fascinated with this because I've got a couple friends that are sign language interpreters. That's
Oh,
what they do. Like that's their thing. What they
oh,
do
for
for
a
a
living.
living. Yeah, and so are you like ASL interpreter? Like did you get
I
like, you got
find
the piece of paper and everything?
my mother and sign language, it's been a long time because most of the time when I was little, I did pick it up and I've learned through my mother.
Yeah.
So it was a natural thing for me to do.
Nice. That's a
Yeah.
whole nother meaning to I talk with my hands, right? Everybody's like, oh, I'm from whatever, I'm this heritage or that heritage. I talk with my hands. You really do.
The deaf culture, all about the hands and the body gestures, the facial expression.
Expressions, yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
and when you're happy, you're happy. So I give away my emotions so easily. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's awesome. I love it. I am not a I I am not a languages are not is not a thing. I kind of jokingly say to people that I'm trilingual, but it's and then I tell them it's sarcasm, movie quotes, in English. So it's not it's not
right.
it's not really three languages. It's just but but yeah, sign language. That's pretty awesome. I'm sorry, I don't want to get off subject of what we're talking about, but that's always it's impressive to me. I don't know that like sign language is just because it blows my mind. I just watch people, speaking back and forth, and it's fascinating to me. So, but speaking of what we're here to talk about, so I understand that you have something called Crohn's.
Yeah.
Is the name of the condition that we're going to be talking about. So, about how old were you when you started to? You said when you were a kid, you even
Yeah.
like how old were you started noticing the first crazy stuff?
Crazy stuff was when like 10, 9. I was young,
Okay.
really, really young. My sister,
Yeah.
I talked about it with my sister a couple of days ago too. And she's like, man, when you start to get your episodes, that's when I know I have to prepare myself to go to my friend's house to sleep over because there'll be
Oh,
hours at the hospital, even days.
oh,
And like she would be hungry. And I never really, thought about how it affected my sister, but it did. It really
yeah.
did. So like
Yeah.
way I was just like just really I was like kind of hurt and like she felt really bad and she's like sometimes I was mad but it's not your fault and I'm like I know it
No.
affected her a lot and Crohn's disease was not something like I definitely tuned out when I was younger because as a kid
Sure.
okay whatever what do I have to do what I got to take
Yeah.
my mom
Oh, yeah.
yeah so my
Just
mom
make it feel better. I don't care. Just make it
said
right.
make it go away. I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I wanted to get out there. I wanted
Yeah.
to play with my friends. I wanted to do sports. I wanted to be normal,
Yeah.
I wanted to be better. So like
Yeah.
give me pills, I shoved it in my mouth and all of a sudden there's months that went by. I feel fine. And then bam, another episode. I get, a flare up. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, bad. And then it happened, occasionally, and then all of a sudden it starts happening more and more often. It progresses. I'm a firm believer it has something to do with my diet that I just didn't really follow through. I wasn't educated on it. My mom
Yeah.
was educated on it. The doctors didn't really really push towards like, hey, you have Crohn's. They didn't really give my mom the full info of like what she should do. Take action, not just like
Yeah.
down my throat.
Yeah.
That was
Well, to be fair, I get it. I totally get it. I there was probably things growing up that I could have done better too, but
yeah.
the doctor, the surgeon, the guy with the MD after their name or the girl with the MD after her name is not the person that's going to tell you all that. That's all outside that, unfortunately. I don't know, maybe 50, 60, 100 years ago it was, but now the scope of practice for any doctor or any surgeon has narrowed so much because of our sue happy culture that it's they're afraid to tell you, right? They don't want to tell you what to do outside of take this pill,
Right.
do this treatment, because it's not in their, not in their wheelhouse, so to speak,
No,
and they don't want to get sued. So
but here you go.
yeah.
That was
So I mean, I totally get it. I had to go outside the medical world to get relief from some symptoms I was experiencing a few years ago too, because I wasn't going to quit. I wasn't going to just say, well, this is how it is. I guess I'm just going to feel like crap. That's not okay. That's not I refuse to do that. So it sounds like you did too.
oh,
So
I refuse.
yeah,
I don't want to be sick. I want to
no,
find answers. I want to understand what I have. That's part of embracing, ourselves. Okay, I have this, but what can I do? How do we work around it? There's always
right,
there's a way, right?
totally.
Yes.
So anybody out there in the audience, just want to throw this out there. Thank you for joining us, by the way. I'm so excited you're here. Thank you everybody online for being here and watching. Anybody out there know somebody or anybody live with Crohn's, or anybody that has a friend or family member that lives with Crohn's, reach out, comment on Facebook or YouTube, or comment and let's chat. We'd love to hear from you. And so yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because that's kind of a fun dynamic here. We do get to chat with the audience once in a while. So so what?
Asking.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I don't have any questions. I was talking
Oh.
about.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah. Hey everybody. So what kind of symptoms did you like? What was going on like before you got diagnosed and you're like, oh, just take a pill and move on, or like what the heck is going on here? What were you experiencing that you didn't understand?
For me, it was like I felt tired all the time, always hungry, and I couldn't eat because it hurt so much. Because I knew if I ate that, then my body's going to punish me because back then I didn't understand what my body was doing. I just knew
Yeah.
if I eat that, it's going to hurt for sometimes for a couple of hours, sometimes days.
Like stomach ache, or like you just throw it up, or like what do you mean?
First, I get this really sharp stomach pain, like
Mm-hmm.
middle of my sternum. That's where I would get it the most. It almost
Okay.
ulcers.
Ooh.
And then, yeah, and it'll just get really, really bad. It'll like cramp up so bad to a ball, even like
Yeah.
it gets really nasty. And then sometimes like the food I would eat, I can't even digest it at the point because the inflammation of the lining of my intestines were so inflamed that I couldn't digest it. It would just come back up every time.
Mm.
Like I couldn't enjoy, like I would enjoy the food and it would just come right back up. It was just something that I hated seeing all the time. And I
Well,
got
yeah.
tired of the point, and it prevented me from going to school. My grades were slipping all the time. Like teachers
Yeah.
got to the point they're sending me homework and like, I'm so sorry, we'll excuse that. We could just turn it in later. Sports, I couldn't really play sports.
Mm-mm.
And then like diarrhea, like, when I need to go, I need to go. And when I'm in high school, when I was in high school, I would like I wouldn't want to eat because I don't want
No.
to. So I'll just
Oh.
eat all day. And sometimes I wait till I get home and I'll, stuff my face, and hours later in the middle of the night, my stomach starts cramping up. It was exhausting. It was just tedious, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I mean, Crohn's
No.
not, not a, it's not funny. It's serious. And I was
Yeah.
fortunate I'm not the serious, I'm more of a mild case back then. Now I don't have flare-ups, but back then was really, really bad. And hearing the experience of other people who have Crohn's disease, who were having a feeding tube. I even had a feeding tube at one point, hospitalized. So that was hard because you can't feed yourself. Under 100 pounds, you don't mean to be that light. Light. I don't want to lose weight, and
Mm.
I couldn't keep anything down. So I was malnourished. So that's always a
Yeah.
problem. Other people with Crohn's who have colonoscopy bags, and like it's painful. It's embarrassing. So I know the feeling of going through those things. And like,
Yeah.
after my first surgery, that's when I changes. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, once you figured out this is not going away,
No.
you gotta figure something out. Yeah. Let's make some change. So was your family support? I mean, your family was obviously supportive of what changes you need to make, or I don't know, maybe I should ask, like, were they? I mean, when you were a kid, was it, and then as you got older and realized what it was,
When I
how were
like, my mom didn't understand that there needed to be changes, but my lifestyle, the diet that needed. She was just trying to keep her head above water, because
Yeah.
she's a mom, a deaf mom, with a disability, trying to raise 2 kids on her own. So like, working all the time, we couldn't afford the luxury of a healthy lifestyle when it comes to eating right? We had to go with the basics of the bologna and the white breads and beef and milk. Those are like, the simple things and could give us that kept us fed. And those are the things I should not be eating at all. So mom didn't understand. And, then I didn't understand it either, but I still did it anyway. And, the medication was helping. So I was like, this is great. I'll take it. Because at the time I felt better. The symptoms were not as severe, I should say.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes, honestly, with anything like this, it's like, if I feel better, if I feel better, I am better, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to mess with it. Don't rock the boat, just.
Definitely. So, it's when I felt better, I was like with my friends. I loved it. I was like, this is the life I wanted. When I missed, and like, of course, when with Crohn's and when you're stuck, when you're having those flare-ups, it's no fun. It's definitely not fun.
No.
Hold on.
No.
It affects not only yourself, other people around you too. And my mom, she was supportive as she could be. Even my sister asked me a couple of days ago when I was telling her about the show. She was like, I forgot about your Crohn's. And I'm like, she's like, you haven't had any symptoms since then after your surgery. And I'm like, you're right. And I've been trying to take care of myself better and trying to understand and listen to my body is so important.
That's got to be one of the best things to hear, though. I totally forgot you even had that, right? That's got to feel really good, right?
But still, in the back of my mind, I'm like, it still lingers. It's still like, it can progress. It will progress if you don't take care of yourself. And, I still think about it. It still lingers in my mind. And
sure.
Every time if I have a stomach pain, I'm thinking, is that a flare up? So I'm afraid all the time. Not all the time. I would say like, it's just because ever since I've changed my lifestyle, it has been easier. But when I see other people, and then I start to understand and I can relate, and I want to help out. And that's what I wanted to get on your show, to help out. Like, medicine is not the only alternative. I don't believe in medicine. I believe you take care of your temple, and what you eat and what you do every day has an impact on your body. And if you love your body, your body will love you in return.
I love that. Well, there's another question I want to ask you, but I don't have time yet. We're going to do a commercial, and then I'm going to ask you on the other side here, right. But
perfect.
That I didn't get to, but I do want to ask. So I'm going to, we'll be right back with you, Frankie, in just a second. And we will be right back with you in a couple of minutes. We'll see you soon. We are back, and
Uh,
Frankie's back. All right. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Frankie. This was a good first kind of intro, because honestly, I still don't know. I still want to talk to you a little bit about this, because I still don't know a whole lot about what the heck Crohn's is. But what I wanted to ask from the first part there that I didn't really get to. Sorry, I'm just looking here. Like, what did we were talking about the doctors and stuff? Like, what was their prognosis? Like when they said, okay, this is what you have. Once they finally narrowed it down, then what did they tell you? Like, this is what are you going to do the rest of your life?
you know, this was years ago when I was young, and I just remember sitting at the doctor's office, and they're like, "Yeah, you have Crohn's disease, but we got this medication. It should help. We're going to check in within a month and see how you feel. If you have any experience, or if you feel like your experience, if your pain gets any worse, please come into the ER. If not, then we'll just see you in a month." They made it sound like it wasn't a big deal. Like, oh, it's just Crohn's. And I took it as a kid, and I was like, oh, it's just Crohn's. I didn't
Yeah.
understand how severe it could be. I didn't understand. It made it sound like, oh, it's just Crohn's. Just take this big bottle of these orange-looking pills. I was like, all right, I'm fine. These are a lot, but okay. Yeah. They made it sound like I'm going to be okay as long as I just take this medicine. That's it when I was a kid. That's all I remember. And like,
Yeah.
it didn't make it sound like, oh, you need to look into a nutritionist. This is something that could get worse if you don't take care of it, or if you're not on top of your medicine. It was just more of like, you have Crohn's, just make sure you take your medicine. Here you go. And
Okay. Yeah. Well,
that's
I get that too. Depending on who you talk to, see, that's the trick. Depending on who you talk to, depending on the doctor that you talk to, the surgeon you talk to, then really, I mean, everybody has a different interpretation sometimes. So really, what you got to do is you got to figure out how you're going to take care of you, because you live in your body, not them, right? So and you said something at the first segment that yes, totally. I wish I could give you a high five right now. Medications are sometimes a wonderful, beautiful thing temporarily.
it's
But
only fix.
it should not be a lifestyle, in my humble opinion.
It really shouldn't. It
I
should.
mean, some people, I guess you can't help it, but I mean, for some conditions, I suppose maybe there's things that you really can't help and you need a medication to manage it. And I understand that. But for most, if you can,
Yeah.
because what does that medication do in your body? So
Side effects too. It's just insane. I mean, I'm seeing new medication all the time too, and like the side effects of it. And I understand the ones that when it's so severe, yes, I understand you have no choice but to take the medication. But if you know that it's not as bad, what can you do to help lessen the pain? What can you do to make sure your intestines are not working as hard to help your intestines digest food properly and easily, rather than working double time? I didn't
right.
any I mean, the doctor didn't really explain what was going on with my intestines of Crohn's disease until I had surgery. That's what
Well,
when I started taking it serious, he's like, well, put it like this: your intestines have like a hole that food passes through, and right now it's so inflamed on the mucus and all that. The white cells are fighting it, and it's they think it's infected, but it's not. So nothing can pass through.
oof.
So it was like shut tight. And when they went in there was 4 inches of my smaller intestines that had to be removed.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But
So,
once I had,
so
things were so much better. I mean, I felt 100 times better. I
good.
had any medication. I've learned a lot about myself and what I need to eat and what I need to avoid. And sometimes, we're all human. I know I treat myself to red meats, because like every once in a while I have a craving. But like I understand that my immune system is not on the most optimal. I have a leaky gut. I understand that I got to stay away from like gluten. I got to stay away from dairy products, all the good foods, really. All the boring stuff, right? Do you feel me?
Right? Come on.
But your body appreciates you so much more. And on the long run, I can avoid the medication until I really absolutely need it. But at this point,
Yeah.
I don't need it. So, like, okay, I got to listen with my body.
Yeah, that's good. No, because it's true. You don't want to. It's kind of like when you know it's going to be cold outside. Like you look outside and it's like 30 degrees and snowing, right? I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe it's just me. I put on the coat, but like I'm going to hold off on the gloves. I'm going to hold off on the hat. I'm going to hold off on the just in case. Like, and I get colder. Okay, I'll put the gloves on. Okay, I get colder.
Yeah.
Then now I'll put the hat on. But if you do it all at once, then it's almost like then if you get cold, then what? So it's like you got to wait, right? You got to wait for that, for the
Gotta,
discomfort and then deal with it,
don't want to jump,
instead of,
start taking medication thinking that, oh, I got Crohn's, so I need to treat it now. Yeah, I got Crohn's too, people. I get it. But am I taking medication? No, I don't. My body doesn't need it now.
yeah,
Checkups are good. Physicals, always, making sure you're on point, always recognizing if there's new symptoms or old symptoms are reoccurring. And I like to keep a journal sometimes or a mental note or use my phone. Like if I eat
yeah,
something starts hurting, I'm like, you know what? I can't have that. Oh, well, it's, something that always triggers my stomach that just
yeah.
doesn't, seem happy about.
So just in general, like I know we're talking about you're giving us examples of stuff that happens, but so Crohn's, just basically, like for those of us that aren't super familiar with it, what is it, and what the heck is happening inside your body that's not just, oh, that's indigestion or ulcers or whatever. Like what makes it Crohn's? What's going on there?
Crohn's. See, that's what the doctors are really unfamiliar at this point. They say that could be genetics, or like, if you have a history with intestinal problems, it could lead up to that. No one knows. Doctor told me, or I even looked it up. They don't know how it starts. It could be something like, oh, maybe you're having allergen to it and you just don't know it, and then it just flares up and gets worse and worse. But with Crohn's, it could be very moderate to severe. It's just depending how bad it is. I understand it could happen anywhere within the intestines, usually in the larger intestines or the colon.
So what's happening? Like what actually happens when you say I have Crohn's and this is why it's Crohn's and this is why it's terrible? What happens?
So what happens when you start eating food and digesting, it goes in through your digestive tract, right?
Uh-huh.
And like when you have flare-ups, those flare-ups happen where the mucus gets really thick inside the lining of your intestines, where nothing is able to go through. So right now, those flare-ups thinking that there is a bacteria that needs an attack. So white cells starts coming and start trying to want to attack the bacteria and and then it causes the flare-up, from what I think. Don't quote me on it, but this is like long time ago in my early 20s when I was like, yeah, sure. But like,
Sure.
I understand it's just more of like, as they put it, it's the inside, the lining of the intestines that flares up, that gets so bad that it doesn't heal itself properly. That's always scarred. So you have scar tissue the inside of your intestines, and digesting food, like red meats are harder to digest, to break down. Therefore, it's harder the intestines, and it makes the lining, harder for it to digest and pass through. So your body's working double time, having a hard time digesting that food, especially dairy and all that stuff, gluten, the stuff that we shouldn't be having. Even caffeine. Oh, I love caffeine.
Oh.
But
Oh.
I know.
Come on, caffeine. I didn't think
My
that was.
world just went away.
Oh.
Really, caffeine? I love caffeine, but one of them for me. I mean, the best way I've learned overall is the Candida diet. The Candida diet.
Yes, I've heard of that. Yeah, Candida. You know what? We went to a functional medicine doc here in Colorado Springs, and she's amazing. And she was talking about that, like
Yeah.
eliminating, the Candida and getting, that's not a word that a lot of people know, but I get it. I've heard that. Yeah.
Yes. But the Crohn's is just, it progresses over time. So like if it's
Sure.
moderate, it's going to get worse within time. So like the way you can prevent it is what some people like to use medication. Some people definitely watch what they eat, what they drink, every day. So
Yeah.
that is never going to go away. That's something that we always going to have and carry. So I don't even know if it's going to be a genetic thing. I've always asked my son, like, are you feeling well? Do you have so I
Yeah.
worry because like on my mom's side of the family, I don't see anyone have a history of like any intestinal issues. And then on
Sure.
my dad's side of the family, I really don't know my dad that well. I mean, he was MIA for most of my life, but
Mm.
I not what I know. Or if I knew more about his history, his medical history, then maybe. But
Yeah.
as far as I know, I don't know anybody in my family that has the same condition as I have. So it kind of sucks because I feel like the oddball, especially going to gatherings or like if we're a vacation. Oh, don't get me started on vacation. Because like the food is always like, it's always,
Totally.
you never know. You have a good day, bad day, and then there's the food, the people, and restaurants even. So it's always hard to, adjust and not try to bring everyone down with you where you're at, right? Because you just want,
Right.
yeah, stay up and be happy and like have everyone enjoy it too, because you want to be part of that, enjoy life as well, and you can. You just got to know what your choices are and what you can do. There's
Yeah.
always a way.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Yeah, because we did when we went to that functional medicine doc that I was telling you about. We did the same thing. We said, well, okay, we're feeling this. We don't want to, so let's eliminate a bunch of stuff and then kind of add it back slowly and see what's actually causing it. But sometimes you just got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, well, bye bye. The big. Like I used to eat those big awesome, hot, fresh, like giant loaves of French bread from the store, that are sitting
Uh,
there.
no, no,
Like like during a movie, forget about popcorn. I mean, popcorn was good too, but I would sit there with a stick of butter and a loaf of French bread and just that sucker. If I wasn't careful, that sucker'd be gone by the end of the movie, you know. And I can't imagine even taking a slice of that right now. It would probably I'd be doubled over for like an hour if I ate that. So but you realize that over time, you figure it out, and then you like, well, okay, is there a substitute for that I can eat? No, okay, I'm out. That's it.
but
Sometimes you just gotta.
at the same time, you also discover learning there's other foods that you can enjoy and that you like better. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel sad too, like the things that I used to love and I really can't have, like bananas. I
Oh,
can't have my stomach. I get gassy. I get really bloated. It just does not
huh.
agree with me whatsoever.
Interesting.
Yeah,
It's a fruit. Who would have thought that a fruit would do that? Well, yeah.
like
Bananas are a little different though.
as they put
Yeah.
it, they say if you have a glass of water and you put the food in, you got to think about how fast does it dissolve. The quicker it dissolves, the better for your stomach. The harder it dissolves, the harder for your stomach. So if
Right.
it's going to take days to dissolve, it's going to be hard on those intestines. So if like you tell
Yeah.
your, I want to eat that steak, but know what those sacrifices you're making. So
It's
it's things, those give and takes. I mean, the sacrifices you make will make you who you are today. So
yeah. What did I hear? I think it was Mel Brooks. I heard in an interview one time, he was talking about food or something, and he goes, those good old New York bagels, you better name it because it's gonna be with you for a while, when you
it's been
right?
there for a while.
Yeah, you gotta just give it a name, get to know it, because it's gonna be with you for a while.
Oh,
So did the so we like you said, it's not really genetic. You didn't really find any there was nothing hereditary, nothing genetic, nothing. So that's crazy. So what would you tell, like, so what's the trying to think of the question here. What's the hardest part of dealing with Crohn's? Like what's the kind of the part that really kicks your butt sometimes? It's like, man, I wish I didn't have this.
when when you're on anything like the physical activities, because I remember it would hurt so bad. I would lie there like for days, just crawled up into a ball because like the
Yeah.
pain so severe, so sharp. I mean, it was bad. Like
Yeah.
it point, like even like the morphine at the emergency didn't help the pain. It like got really bad. It prevented. I
Yeah.
couldn't take care of my baby when he was, over a year old. Not even. So that was hard. So like it's just that like the Crohn's can take over your life at that point when you have those flare ups. And you're just like you can't help it but just fall apart at that moment.
Yeah.
Oh, it hurts. For me,
And
it was painful. It was really painful, and like sometimes I couldn't be able to go, or I couldn't eat, or I keep vomiting. Sometimes I vomited, there was nothing left. Like it was just acidic. It was so bad. It was embarrassing. I don't want, it was just embarrassing always to clean up vomit. And I remember my mom when I was a child. So it's just, it's a horrible disease. I wouldn't wish it on anybody because it's just an uncontrollable. You have no control of when it happens, when those flare-ups happens, and then how long does it happen? You don't know. Sometimes a week, sometimes a couple of days, sometimes it'll be months. The frustrating part. But
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I totally, not on the same level, not with the same symptoms, but yeah, I relate in some ways to that. Yeah, because it's unpredictable with a condition. Any chronic condition can be unpredictable sometimes. You just don't know. So, what do you wish people knew about living with Crohn's? What if you could just sit down and like, this is what I want you to understand, what would you tell them?
The people to understand about Crohn's is like, we may seem normal and yeah, we can eat normal things, but it's not for us. I mean, even my sister she still, like my whole family still forgets about I can't certain things, but they still buy it and like give it to me anyway. And it's frustrating. Like I want them to know, like with Crohn's disease, with people out there that don't know much about it, like it's just that when we have these flare-ups, when they happen, they happen. It's just that support and being understanding is the most thing that's really important, I think, because like I wouldn't gone through it without the support of my family. So to have making sure that you have a system, a support system is really, really important. And then able to reach out to people who are familiar with Crohn's disease that could also help you understand what we can do and go through on our daily lives and what changes that could be made. It doesn't have to be big changes, in the beginning, but small adjustments that need to be made. I mean, I wish people who, especially my sister, would be more supportive about my diet. Like she just, I understand you guys can eat whatever, but for me, it's a little hard when I eat certain things. And like, it's like, yeah, I can eat it, but my stomach's going to pay for it later,
Yeah.
That's the one.
Well,
food for me, it's always been the food. Like,
well, and food's important. Hello, come on. It's,
how we live.
So, yeah. Food's important for everybody. It's just it's extra important to pay attention for you. That's all. So, well, I tell you what, this has been great. We're going to go to another commercial for a little bit. And then on the other side of the break, it's all about hope. We're going to talk about the good stuff. We're going to talk about the best part, because there's always hope, right? So, all right. We'll see you in just a minute, Frankie.
Okay.
All right. Okay, everybody. We'll see you on the other side. right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, Frankie. Hello. All
Hello.
right. Okay. So, Crohn sucks. It's not fun. It's hard to deal with, hard to get your family to understand, but we've there's hope. There's
There is.
always hope. There's hope every day, right? So, but in the midst of all that, how do you find hope day to day?
How do I find hope day to day is, for one, waking up and, feeling grateful how I feel. Being, counting my blessings, definitely. Because I know there's women and men out there who have Crohn's disease who don't have it as good as I do right now. And I know their pain. And I know that waking up every day, feeling with not taking any medication, feeling good in the morning, able to eat, and able to do my daily activities, able to
Mhm.
go to work, do what I love, what I do best, being passionate about what I care about is always one thing that I am truly embedded in trying to get in building my foundation on. And
Yeah.
with Crohn's, it's always, right now it's been very, very good to me because I've been good to it. So, so like if my body tells me no, this isn't good, then I need to listen about my body, of course. But the hope factor of it is that you can have a normal life. You can, yeah, sometimes there's like little episodes, but those are just episodes and storms come and go all the time. But
Yeah.
times when I don't have those episodes, I take a full advantage of life and live it to the fullest. It's just doing the research on like what I have and understanding what I have is what made my life better. And once I've changed my diet, I didn't change it right away. Trust me, it took years. After surgery, the doctor was like, I know you're turning 21 and this is a big thing. And I'm like, hell yeah, it is. I want to go out, drink with my friends. And of course I did it. Don't get me wrong. He's all like,
Sure.
alcohol is like something you shouldn't really have. And I'm like, I know. I'll just do a little.
Right.
So yes, I'm guilty too. I didn't start right away after I had surgery. I had to learn the hard way, had to figure out, why my body didn't like what and why I couldn't have certain things. And that's when I was like, you know what? I need to learn and truly understand what it is. Once you understand your body and understand what you have, then it just comes easier of like, okay, you're more aware of your surroundings, of what you eat, what you put in your mouth mostly. For
Yeah.
me, anyway, yeah. So, stop drinking and, eating healthy, no preservatives, like, stay away from the sugar, refined sugar. Like monk fruit is really good for Crohn's.
Yes.
It kind of tastes different, but it's something I got used to. It's just something like that. Gives my body, feels good for me. I feel good. I feel better. And I want to get the word out there. It's just like educate yourself of what you have. Look it up. Don't go straight to medicines right away. Think about alternatives of what you can do now before it gets better. What can we do to prevent it, right? So there's
Right.
hope.
Yeah. Well, and reach out to people that are doing the things like you. Reach out to there's a community everywhere for everything. I mean, good Lord, you jump on Facebook, there's a
Yes.
there's a
Yeah.
freaking there's a page for everything, right? I mean, everything under the sun has a page. Or it's like when you go onto YouTube, there's a video to teach you to literally do anything on earth. There's a video on YouTube, right? So search social media for communities and right, talk to people that are going through what you're going through and
I,
solution minded people.
yeah, I really wish I had that when I was younger. I mean, I didn't know my mom didn't know any better either. I mean, if she had those resources back then, it
Yeah.
probably my life would have been a little easier, but it
Yeah.
wasn't. So like all the things I didn't know, I wish I would have known then. Like,
Right.
wow, educate. I wish somebody would have nudged me in the right direction. So this is why I want to be on your show and help these people to nudge them in the right direction. Like, don't be afraid to reach out, talk to, people who have it too. They can relate. They can tell you like, hey, I suggest I wouldn't eat that. Or this is a great way to get your nutrition in if you're looking at your greens. I mean, hello,
Yeah.
I'm right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a personal trainer here, and like I've had my ups and downs and my trials and errors when it comes to foods, and really understanding like how food affects our body and how does my body feel. Understanding Crohn's disease. Crohn's is something that I'll always have. That's always going to be in the back of my mind. But as
Mhm.
long as I take care of myself, Crohn's will be, not as bad. Like my flare-ups, I hardly even get them because I try to eat. I watch what I eat. But every now and then, don't I'm human. I like to have my red meats, and just last week I had Starbucks.
Yeah.
So it's okay to treat yourself every now and then, but don't do it excessively. As
Yeah.
I would, yeah.
Yeah. I've heard it put in a way like I don't remember what the condition was the person was talking about, but it was one that if it gets out of control, it can basically take control, and then and then you're done. But it's like it's kind of like the beast in the cage, it's like keep the beast in the cage, keep them locked up,
Yeah.
because
Hey,
let them out once in a while maybe, but if you let them have free reign, it's done. You're in trouble.
and
So
bigger problem than it should be. And then you're like, I should have taken care of myself better. But
yeah,
it's all taking baby steps. Hope is about taking that baby step. Hope is understanding, okay, this is what I have. Accept it. Yeah. There's people out there. We are not alone. We're all in this together. Because
yeah,
I felt alone too when I was a teenager. There's not a lot of teenagers who have Crohn's disease. And as an adult, there's a lot more adults who have Crohn's disease that can understand what I'm going through and what episodes that we have. And those are
yeah,
episodes that come and go, yes. But if you make these lifestyle changes, you can start to and see that you start to feel better. So there's always that light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah. I mean, and you live in your body. Like I said earlier, you live in your body, not them. So if you know that this works, don't listen to them over there that say no, you should do this or you should do that or you should try this or if
Right.
you
Oh,
found
and
something, go
right.
with it. Yeah,
Your body works the way it wants to work, and you listen to it. Because, like, I know my body's telling me no bananas, no dates, no milk. It
yeah,
tells me things I can't have. So, like, listen to, be intuitive to your body. It's very, very important. I mean, people don't understand what we go through and how it
yeah,
feels, process the ins and outs of it. But there is hope. I mean, like you need that support group. You need, people who can understand and relate. It's always good
yeah,
to have that, support. Facebook, like you said, it was a great, great tool. I mean, I love Facebook.
yeah.
Definitely.
For
Yeah.
for that kind of stuff, it's awesome. There's plenty of bad about social media too, but for this, I think it's a wonderful tool. So speaking of that, if and especially, so you said you're a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So right, so as a trainer, so if people wanted to, especially getting that out there, hello, if people said, "Hey, she must know, she's got to be a resource. I want to ask her about this. I want to reach out to Frankie and check, if what I'm doing is okay or whatever." How do people reach you if they have questions or like what's the best way to find you?
The best way to find me is always on Facebook. I'm on there a lot more than I am on Instagram. I'm sorry, I'm not as young and hip as the rest of the crowd. I'm 40, so it feels good that Crohn's is under control, and I feel good about my life right now. And to reach me is on Facebook, so it'll be Frankie or Francisca Huff, or on Instagram it's just Frankie_V. You can reach me there as well. I definitely have. You can email me and stuff like that if you want.
Okay.
Especially with Crohn's. I mean, I've done bodybuilding competitions, so when it comes to meal prepping and understanding food, and with Crohn's, it's definitely a benefit. It really is. I mean,
Yeah.
it has opened my eyes, and now I cannot absolutely love the fact I love how I feel now. So I highly recommend make those small changes. Reach out if you have any questions, because those small changes does make a difference in the long run.
Yeah, totally. And that's all the small changes. Everybody gets so freaked out because they're like, have to change everything,
Yeah,
but
of
it's,
course, but small changes. Like, okay,
yeah,
what do I need to do next? Let's find
right.
out what Crohn's is, understand Crohn's. What kind of foods I should or should not be eating, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, start with one thing. I mean, even it's like when you're making a to-do list, make a to-do list of stuff you're going to do anyway, just so you can check it off, right? Just so
Yes,
you can, there's something psychological about checking those things off, even if it's, open my eyes, get out of bed and make my bed. And,
yes.
if there's something about just checking things off.
It takes 21 days to change a habit. Just
Yep.
stick to it. It's hard. Change is easy for anyone. I mean, we all had to adapt when we find out that we were diagnosed with, a disease that we had
Whatever it is.
control
Yeah.
over,
Yeah.
and something that we had to learn to understand it. At first, yeah, we could be rebellious and angry and upset. And after a while, then you start to understand and to try to embrace it and understand who you are, then accepting it and loving yourself. And then there is hope at the end of the light. There
Yeah.
is. Then once you understand and embrace it, it's like, okay, life is a little easier now because we know how to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
we're not alone because we have people like Jeff, we have people like me, that we're out here helping others to understand that it is okay what we have, and it's okay to share what we have. And like, yes, there's people out there who are, I was ashamed of it for so long because
Yeah.
it's a gross disease. I don't want to talk about puking and being on the toilet all.
I get it.
I really don't, but it's
Yeah.
the
Uh,
awareness is important.
well, yeah, totally. Well, thank you, Frankie.
You
I'm
welcome.
so thankful that you're here, and thank you for taking your valuable time and spending it here with us today. And yeah, everybody reach out to Frankie. She's here to help, and so are we. So um, thank you, and we will maybe we'll have another chance to have you on again, and we'll see.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye.
All right, everybody. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for watching. And if there are, there was a QR code on one of the breaks about being a guest. We are so excited to meet new people and get the awareness out there about conditions and how to deal with them, how to live with them. And if you are a company that shares that kind of vision that wants to help, we'd love to talk to you about being a sponsor and advertiser. Reach out to us on Facebook is probably the easiest way. And the next show on Friday, what's today? Tuesday. I think it is. On the 2nd, we are going to have our Amanda Garzon from the Hydrocephalus Association. This is going to be so cool. As you've likely heard from watching the show, I have hydrocephalus, so I'm super excited to talk to her and hear about what amazing things that organization is doing. So please tune in on Friday to hear that show. It's going to be incredible. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.